Okay, so I'm gonna start my video essay. I'll kind of just talk about key milestones, turning points, and learning moments. I'll start off with that. So mainly it was like coming up with ideas and then figuring out what the problem was. I would say was like very key. At first, we had one idea that we were very keen on, but feedback from tutors and others made us realize that we should broaden our horizons and search for ideas that better fit our target audience's needs. And this led us to questioning what problems or pain points there were regarding learning. We needed to come up with we ended up coming up with 5 ideas, but we ended up choosing one that resonated with us as students the most, which was picking out a career by exploring it through interactive means. We knew why we wanted to create this product, but we further investigated the problem behind picking out a career and why it was so hard. And this in-depth investigation enabled us to create a solidified idea that truly empathized with the whys of our target audience and what we could do for them. So next, I'll be talking about like insights about collaboration and creative problem solving. So with those things within my team, the key behind making all of that work was thorough but straightforward communication, trust, curiosity, and respect for one another's capabilities. Open and proactive communication meant that we could understand one another clearly, provide honest feedback, and double down on the iterative process efficiently. It also meant that we had space to trust in one another's opinions and ideas, and that really allowed for creativity and curiosity to flow through so that we could further develop and refine our concept. Finally, we all had an inherent respect for one another's capabilities, and thus this further reinforced our trust for one another to do what we had to do and enabled a willingness within each person to do the best within this incredibly short period of time. So, with the influence this had on my own field of study or just my perspective of learning in general, I have worked with software engineers before, but this was my first time working with engineers from like a range of backgrounds like mechanical, civil, mechatronic, and electrical. And working with them made me realize that as a UX designer, communicating my ideas and the process was integral to collaborating with them in designing this project. Bringing them in on like drafting out a user flow was like a really key experience, and also working with them taught me that visualizing my ideas related to like UX or UI work was the quickest way in getting them to understand my points, and it made me realize that as a UX designer, it's important to really sort of UX my work approach for members of my team who aren't from a design background. And finally, just some reflections on the future digital learning landscape, key trends, and some analysis of how this learning experience will evolve. I can certainly see that immersion and interaction will play a bigger component in future learning, especially through multimodal means. And I would say like visuals and kinesthetic learning styles will become a bigger trend for creating easier but effective learning in future, and it'll probably be more accessible but also an easier way to just sort of get people more like immersed in their work. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say for my video essay. Cool, thanks.